St. Lucia, this is Open Mic, and we're now back to the second segment of our program. As I've always said to you all, it's amazing when you have interesting people, the time goes very quickly. And there are certain areas I want to focus upon here, because in St. Lucia today, every time I turn on my television or turn on the radio, I hear them saying that we have to learn to feed ourselves because we're we're buying too much abroad. And I discussed that with the ambassador, and I'm now going to ask him if he could just elaborate a bit more, because talking to them earlier, I was amazed to find out all the products that they grew. Mexico actually feeds itself with 123 million people. We have in St. Lucia 160,000, so that's not a big task. It's just knowing how to do it. And on that score, I ask, would you want to elaborate
yes,
on that?
Yes, and later I will pass the microphone to...
Yeah, concerning the products that you see that can grow over there, you explained to me earlier.
Well, as I was telling you before, Mr. Tascan, in Mexico, we feed ourselves.
Yes.
And we also have the chance to export.
Yeah.
Mexico is the #1 exporter of tomatoes and avocados, for instance.
Fantastic.
We are a powerhouse in the North America sector in poultry, and we're also a powerhouse in livestock.
Okay.
And one of the commissions or commitments that we have from Mexico is to try to open markets for those products in the Caribbean. So one of the things that we can work together maybe is to find ways to transport them into here, because I know, and we know that those products have a lot of benefits to give to the people of St. Lucia.
Well, what I would like to say to you is that we have just completed an abattoir, and we have no cattle, nothing at all. So I don't know what we're going to put into it. So that's the first step that I think St. Lucia, I hope most of St. Lucia is listening tonight, what we are saying here, because this is a fantastic opportunity. If Mexico can help us with the cattle to start off, we have the abattoir. Tomatoes is a big plus for us. The hotels use the supermarkets. I know for a fact. Sandals alone spends $40 million a year here. And they tell me that's only the tip of the iceberg. In the supermarkets, we probably $70–80 million a year that we pay the farmers. So, and we still have to import.
Exactly.
So can you well imagine if Mexico can come in with these products? I mean, when you talk of avocados, that's wonderful, because this is great. It's a great food here. It's a very healthy food. Tomatoes are very healthy. What else do you do?
Let me say something about that,
yes.
if you allow me. With that purpose, we believe that one of the expertise from Mexico is how we can support the Caribbean countries in agriculture.
Right.
For that purpose, in Mexico, we signed an agreement with the Inter-American Institute for Agricultural Cooperation, the ICA, and we signed an agreement with them to invest $1 million to train the experts from the Caribbean states in so many areas. One of them is how we can produce into the greenhouses a kind of a product like carrots or tomatoes.
Now, Mr. Ambassador, just to cut you short for a moment, you indicated something very interesting to me, and I believe the agriculturists on the island should know that, because they have tried many greenhouses, but you were explaining to me earlier that just normally it's 48 degrees centigrade into those places. So St. Lucia, I want you all to listen very carefully, because I've just learned something here. Maybe known to you all, but it wasn't known to me. We have to do something to regulate the temperature in the greenhouses to make it successful. It's not just building a shed and saying everything will grow. It has to be regulated. And I did mention to the ambassador earlier on that when the Taiwan people came here, what I saw they did when they were growing their flowers at Union, I don't know, I keep, it's not Exoras, it's something else, I forgot the name, but they had a system whereby they had cool water being rotated to keep the temperature down. So just putting up a greenhouse is not only the answer, it has to be done properly. So For those of you going to be involved in the greenhouses, you all need to be careful, get the right advice as to how it should be done.
Yes, and for that, again, we train 14 experts from St. Lucia in Mexico in a very special facilities and installation in Mexico. And most of them went to receive training in how can operate the greenhouses. Now you have experts here trained in Mexico that can provide all the information for the public that are interested in producing greenhouses. And for 2016, both those houses that greenhouse that we have here must be oriented to train people from the St. Arthur Luis Community College, the students, and people from the farmers areas in order to receive training from the experts that you send to Mexico. But even we not only work with that, we are working in phytosanitary matters because it's very necessary to control the diseases for the plants that you have here.
Right.
And with that purpose, again, we train people, and we are now established with Maite and myself working with the Ministry of Agriculture and ICA, one special program for coconuts. We are working with the government, supporting one idea from the government of St. Lucia to get many plants that are resistant to diseases.
Coconuts.
Coconuts,
Yeah.
talking about, because it's very important
do
market.
you have many coconuts in that?
Yes, we are creating the plants, the small plants, and
Bringing
transporting.
in. You see, now that's very important because you mentioned two things, Mr. Ambassador, which I want to elaborate on. One, which I have been talking to St. Lucia repeatedly on this show. We have so many people leaving school every year that have nothing to do. And agriculture has changed. Agriculture is a wonderful industry to be in.
Yes,
and I have said time and time again that what the various administrations need to follow is, you can get a couple, I'm sure Mexico can help us along with that, just a couple tents circulated so it's not too hot, and you put it on the grounds of the schools, and after their academic classes, 2 to 3 hours a day, instead of the kids gallivanting around, they can get people to come and show them what can be done. So when they leave school, they can go into the agricultural field. The ambassador just mentioned about coconuts, and only at my last show I spoke about the same situation because we have an oil factory in Soufrière which is closed, and because the copra we had tons of copra before. We used to actually export to Barbados and Trinidad several tons of copra. Now they have to bring it in from Guyana, which makes it not feasible. But we used to produce oil, margarine, and all different commodities from the factory. And it's still sitting there closed. So if we can actually get back into coconuts, right now there's a big revenue stream because a lot of people sell the coconuts on the road for water nuts. That's fine. But then if he can do what he says, bring that new strain of coconuts into St. Lucia, and by fertilizing the coconuts, we can also go back also in our bananas, which we were doing a lot of before too. And more importantly, I mentioned to the ambassador, we have the Hotel Chocolat people in St. Lucia who've been pushing us to go into the cocoa industry. So, it's all well and good to say there's nothing to do, our children are leaving school. We have to start thinking outside the box. We don't want more lawyers and doctors and all these people here. Agriculture, people must eat, and food is getting more and more expensive. So if we have an ambassador like Mexico who is successful in what they're doing in Mexico, and they're willing to offer us, I'm asking you all please to listen carefully to what he has to say.
Yes, and for that reason we signed the agreement with the government of St. Lucia to cooperate in technical issues and scientific cooperation. But most important now, the 14 of the experts from your country were trained in Mexico, not only in greenhouses, they were training in familiar agriculture, because we need to show how you can grow something in your garden that could be support the economy, the familiar economy in that way. But the most important thing is how we can stand in collaboration to produce one effect in the young population. Now the agriculture is not that the agriculture that what I was young, I was with my grandfather to the farm, and we needed to harvest something, and they show how we can do that. Now there's the agri-farms. Now it's agriculture, but with some new techniques that are very important to show.
Yeah.
That is the reason that the greenhouse that we have here is into the land from the San Cirartu Community College, because we need to train the young people and to show them, and we have, Maite and myself, conversation with some of the associations from the young people, that it's necessary to create the conscious that that kind of job is very important for the population, because it's a different job now. It's not to get something and to go to the land and
correct. Yeah, those days are gone.
It's agro-industries.
Yeah.
The agro-industries are very necessary for this kind. We understand that 75% of the fresh produce are imported from abroad to the consumption in St. Lucia.
Yes.
Well, we can support that. We are working with the government. We are offering the training. We have the cooperation with ICA. We have so many programs that are in place now. And we expect that we will offer so many results, interesting results with the population, but it's important, the education.
Now, you know something, St. Lucia, I've seen ambassadors come and go, and it is very sad. You know, if a country sends an ambassador to St. Lucia, the ambassador should not be allowed just to stay at his office, and once a year, the Prime Minister and his government go to an independent celebration. That doesn't make sense. I think for those of us listening to this program today, we need to change our method of doing business with ambassadors on the island. The people are here, they've been sent here at least once a month, that either the Prime Minister or the Deputy Prime Minister or one or two ministers in a high level meet with various ambassadors, because the finance is there, the advice is there, the connections are there, and we need to follow it. St. Lucia, this is Open Mic. We have just come to the end of the second segment of our program. We'll be right back.